For the last 40 years of my career is working in a manner that really helps young people make a difference in the communities that are coming up ahead. We're trying to prepare the generation, this young people for the next generation. And it's exciting to me to see the many things that are happening in the lives of these kids. And so I'm really glad for Berean Christian High School. And I know that we all share the neighborhood, and we want to be able to at least communicate as much as we can to let you know what thoughts we have in mind, and wanting to hear back from you so that we can make good choices that would be good for all of us. And so I'm glad you're here. I hope that you will share with us your ideas. Hi there. And boy, they've gotten big. Yeah. And so once again, thank you for coming. And I'm going to turn this over first to Mr. Lee. He's the project director of this project that we have begun. And also he'll introduce David Backstad with the architect firm that has been working with us already. We've had one meeting. It was a relatively smaller meeting in our library. Because of the greater turnout, we had to move it out to this one. And I think this is large enough to accommodate us all. I hope you can hear us. We'll try to speak up a little. So now I just want to turn it over to him, and then he'll turn it over to Dave.
Good.
Thank you.
So the agenda this week will be the same thing that we covered last week, except some of the issues came up during the meeting that we can respond to. Our goal in general is not to resolve all the problems right now. It's to really categorize and figure out.
How was the announcement made for this meeting that you said you had? I haven't heard anything about it previously.
The meeting that you had.
Where was this taking place? By you guys, by yourself, or?
We mailed to all of the houses immediately around Berean, and
we didn't get it.
What is it immediate?
on either side of El Divisadero, San Carlos. That was right in the back. And this one.
You didn't go down. You didn't go
Okay,
down.
I
San-
for one didn't get one. I got your last visit a couple of days ago. I didn't get anything.
Everybody in
And
Manchester.
I
Seems
can
to
call
me
the
you're-
job out of my house.
Well,
Seems to me you're restricting the meetings here.
well, our strategy is to get it to the immediate neighbors first.
Well, Santa Fe is your
Well,
neighborhood.
I'm an immediate neighbor. It didn't get to me. What's your recommendation?
I don't know. I don't know why it didn't get to you. We wrote down everybody's address. We went by hand. We wrote down everybody's address on every street and sent it to Berean neighbor at that address on every house. So
Well, that's why you had a small meeting, because it didn't work.
our strategy, though, what we would like to do is get to the immediate neighbors first. We're still years away from pulling this off, right? So the ones that we want to talk to first are the ones that are right directly around us. Then, of course, the city process expands out. You know, so that process over the next year, 2 years is going to happen.
Seems to me you've progressed pretty far along here. You've got all
Okay.
these plans.
I think most of the people here, and I think you can hear it, feel that you didn't give adequate notice. And probably from a legal standpoint, you probably satisfied for this initial stage. But since we know that Dr. Noriega is aware of our homeowners association, it would be a courtesy to communicate dates for meetings to our homeowners association and to actually communicate to the entire neighborhood. Because you didn't communicate to the entire neighborhood, we all live there. We could all stand and say, how many of us did not receive notice through this school? And we can,
Association has
Can't hear what you're saying.
So what the general complaint is that we don't have an immediate way to distribute it to the entire neighborhood. So the entire neighborhood feels rightfully so that they're affected by this. That's the notification they're looking for.
It's very easy for us to schedule this meeting again. So, and that's one of the issues that came up in the first meeting, and we've got a way actually on my list of things that we can address, that's in there, on how to
that would be
email
good.
them.
We're just saying, for future, you need to do a better job, and you need to include all of Rancho San Miguel, not these 2 blocks, because we all are affected by the traffic generated by your school. And we have neighbors who live just maybe a block or two out of your range who've had their houses crashed into by one of your students. So we're aware of, the issue and the impact. So you have to include all of us.
Okay. All right.
Tell, we're very interested in this project.
As you should be. So the agenda is, we're going to cover kind of historically where the project is. We're going to add some of the issue resolution, one of which is the communication that's already on our agenda to cover today. And then we'll turn it over and go over the same material we went over last week with what the plans are for the school. And then if questions can come up during the meeting, that's fine. I'll talk about the timeline here in the beginning instead of the end. All right. So strategically, Berean's board has been working for the last couple of years figuring out, okay, what do we want to do long term? And we've looked at other locations, we've looked at other cities, we've looked at splitting the campus, we've looked at lots of different options, or I should say, they have. And strategically, they want to stay here in Walnut Creek. So once that was zeroed in on, then we went to figuring out, okay, what's the best use, what's the best plan? Because we want to get our education to as many students as we can. Another strategic goal for us is improving our facility and our technology. And that is what we're about. We want to give them the best education that we can possibly give them. We feel like we are the best education already in Contra Costa County for multiple reasons. And
Excuse me, there are many teachers here that teach in public school. Can you avoid that? This is a Christian school with certain ideology, but in the audience there are public teachers.
That's okay.
So if you can skip that part because it's offensive.
I'm not trying to offend.
Totally offensive.
We would just like to know the numbers and the size of the facility. I mean, we all agree that we all want a great education for our children and all that, but we want to know the numbers and, of course, being selfish, how it will impact us and our families getting to school, and the size of your facility. That's.
And the timeline for construction.
Okay.
I think it's very presumptive of you to state that you have the best education in Contra Costa County.
There you go.
Wait, can we get cleared up right now just by asking what?
Can we listen to what Berean has to say
We're
to
trying to
us?
listen, we're trying to respond, we're trying to let you know our feelings.
And I understand that, and there's going to be time for that, but it's important that we as a neighborhood listen to what their plan is, what their timeline is, so that we can understand what the effects on us are going to be, and what our opinion on the project is going to be. If we stop them every 30 seconds with another complaint about something else, we're never going to get to hear that. And that's the most important thing, is to get information.
Go to the point.
But this is who we are. And so I can't stand up here and say this is what we want to do without saying who we are. I mean, that's just who we
Yes,
are.
you can do it.
We don't want to hear that much. We know who you are.
The audience, your opinion, not a reality, it's your opinion of who you are.
We know who you are.
Your opinion of what is it.
We got that, guys. Let's see if we can get
Let me just-
the
Your
information we
opinion.
need.
Our timeline is 6:30.
How do you live?
So at 6:30, we'll end the meeting. So I'm happy to stand up here and answer questions, or we can go on with the presentation. We ended right at 6:30, and we got all the questions done last time. So,
Why don't you open it to questions now?
Because we'll never hear anything.
because we're going to present
How long is your presentation?
an hour and a half, well,
Your
including,
presentation. Your presentation.
oh, this part?
Yes.
Well, it usually is 5 minutes, but it's already been 7.
Let's go. Let's go.
All right. Our average daily attendance, this is an issue that came up last week by the gentleman back over there. He is asking how many students we have. Oh, that gentleman there. And it's 391 is our average daily attendance now.
What was the number?
391.
391.
That's our average daily attendance.
I have an article in the Contra Costa Times right here, September 15, 2011, which reports that you have 446 students.
That's because, as I explained,
Right here in the newspapers.
hey, I was the one that gave him that number. So, do you want to know where the number comes from? Because I told you last week. Yes? No?
So much fudging.
Okay, so that number is a CIF number that we are required to report all of our part-time students, whether they come 1 class period or 4 class periods or